everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is your instructor Joy. Let me first play a little tune for you. This was a G major 3-octave scale using Sevcik's suggested fingerings. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for your ongoing support, sending me nice questions, comments, donations, booking lessons with me, and as well as volunteering. I truly appreciate. I will try my best to answer all your questions. I'm sorry it's taking a little longer than I anticipated. So in this video, we're going to talk about different fingering options from 3 major scale books. Those are Otakar Sevcik, Flesch, and Ivan Galamian. Those 3 are the ones that use mostly in almost every teaching studio and by most students from all levels. Now, you're wondering, why do you have to play scale? I mean, you don't have to actually, but it would be a good tool to use it as a warm-up. And also get an idea of these suggested fingerings and bowings so that you can use in your own practicing to strengthen your technique. Now, because for the time's sake, we're going to solely talk about fingerings, left hand fingerings. Let's start. So the Sevcik, all 3 actually, Sevcik, Flesch, and Galamian, all 3 of them suggest quite similar shifting. So shift from 1st to 3rd, 3rd to the 5th, and then on the way down as well. The difference between some of them are when to shift on what string, yeah, and whether you stretch the fingers or not. Each book has 2 different suggested fingerings. Primary ones are the one that's written above. The secondary suggestions are the one that's written below the notes. Now, what I just played at the beginning of this video was a primary suggestion of Sevcik scale. What it does is he starts from 1st position, then he goes to the 3rd position on A string, then he goes to the 5th position, then asks to stretch, then stretch back, then come down to the 3rd, then come down to the 1st. Yeah. So about this fingering, I like that he's suggesting that we go upwards with open string and downwards with the pinky. By forced to using pinky, we have to anticipate the elbow, left elbow, therefore it's going to be more smooth. In order to play 4th finger, you need to bring your arm like that. So I like that a lot. What I'm not so crazy about is the pinky stretching. Even though it's just a half step, it's not much distance. But you know, whenever we slide the fingers while slurring, people do hear these sliding notes like lingering. Yeah, if you play separate bow, it doesn't really matter, and so I'm not so crazy about it. But then he suggests a secondary one, which is going to the straight to the 3rd position, but 3rd position and 6th position, but basically you're shifting in new octaves. Now when you're about to enter new octave, then you shift, then now you shift, but now it's to the 6th position, not 5th. Here I don't have to stretch 4/4, it just play as it's come. Then back to the 3rd, back to the 1st. Yeah. So these fingerings, it's a little nicer when it comes to clear higher notes because there's no sliding. However, when you play inner string, like higher position like this, so inner higher position strings tend to be a little harder for us to play into because there's a lot of left arm adjustment involvement. So that's something that you might want to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to curve Flesch, another one that's what majority of students use. It's very similar as Sevcik. The only difference is he suggests that we go with a fourth finger up and then come down with a 0, which is okay, but I still prefer Sevcik way, going up with a 0 and then coming down with a fourth. I prefer that one, but this is what curve Flesch suggests. Oh, sorry. Which is same here. Then come down. Here, however, on the way down, he asks us to come down to the third, not to the third, but straight to the first. Now for which can work well, because I think what I'm trying to understand here is he's trying to minimize the shifting, because whenever we shift, we tend to lose the intonation, or we risk of losing intonation by coming from the fifth to straight to, and then one can practice that. But however, remember the pinky is a weak finger, and in my opinion, he's overusing it two ways. So he's stretching here, and then he asks us to shift with a pinky 1 to 4. So I mean, one could practice that one, but in my opinion, for the difficult fingerings, difficult shifting, it's always easier to use stronger fingers, such as second, third. Sometimes first finger is okay, but second, third are ideal position. Now, at last, Galamian. Now, Galamian is widely used in North America. When I was studying in Europe, I didn't have much access to Galamian scales, but then I started using that one when I moved to North America. And then it became actually one of my favorite, because it starts with a broken third. I find it very important that people understand the big difference between major and minor scale. It's first third one. So from the first note to the third, this is how major scale sounds, and then minor scale sounds, and that's one of this main significant difference between major and minor scale. And Galamian understood that concept and then asking students to play that one so that we start tuning our ears to the right scale, and I find that very good. So here, he's also asking us to shift to the third position, but a bit earlier. He's asking us to shift not on A string, but on D string, but then later to the fifth position. And in my opinion, he probably understood that whenever we shift, we risk of losing intonation. And between shiftings, if we can leave a little more time for the left hand to settle in a new position, we have higher chance to play in tune. And I think that's why he suggests us to shift a bit earlier than the other guys. So then now to the third on D string. Now here, fifth position. Here, Galamian also suggests a pinky stretching. This is not my favorite, but I will get to them very soon. It comes down. Sorry. So it finishes also with a 3. I find it very good, always distinguishing what kind of key we're in by playing the last thirds at the beginning and then at the end. So let's talk back to that, go back to the stretching pinky. Here, all three guys suggest that one, but luckily there's another option, which is a secondary option written below the notes. It's going to the third to the sixth, which is my favorite. Even though you have to shift from the sixth position, a little wider than when you did from third to the fifth, but the distance is small enough that we can do that. But at the same time, it guarantees the clarity of the high notes. Sorry. This note. Instead of, and that's a little lingering notes. I prefer when it's clear. Like that, yeah. So I hope you take a moment to try it yourself. And then you can come up with your own fingerings that works for you, but also try to understand why certain fingerings are suggested a certain way, whether it's half step, whether it's easier position to shift to, whatever it is, because by understanding that you can apply such concept in your own repertoire piece to make your own repertoire piece more secure, more in tune, and more beautiful. Yeah, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye.